You were scared, weren't you?
I wasn't that scared.
You were scared.
You've watched the King of Pop transform into a werewolf and lead an army of dancing zombies. But beneath Thriller's groundbreaking music video is a vault of shocking secrets that most fans never discover. Well, join us today as we expose 20 weird facts you didn't know about Michael Jackson's Thriller. What if I told you Vincent Price was terrified during his recording session, that multiple dancers were hospitalized with serious injuries, and that the video was almost banned in several countries for being too disturbing? But the most explosive fact involves real supernatural incidents during filming, a cover-up that lasted decades, and the horrifying discovery that some of the special effects weren't effects at all. But before we get into that, first things first. Fact 20. The $500,000 gamble that almost broke Michael Jackson. When most artists were making music videos for pocket change, Michael Jackson dropped a jaw-dropping $500,000 of his own money into Thriller. That wasn't a budget, that was a small movie. Executives at CBS thought he was insane. They flat out refused to pay, insisting videos were nothing more than ads. But Michael allegedly pushed everything he had on the line, determined to prove them wrong. His advisors warned him he'd regret it, but he wouldn't listen. That gamble birthed the most iconic music video in history, a 14-minute mini-movie that changed pop forever. But money wasn't the scariest risk on set. The real chills started when Vincent Price walked into the studio. Fact 19. Vincent Price's chilling recording session. When legendary horror actor Vincent Price stepped into the studio, everyone expected smooth perfection. After all, this was the man who had spent decades making audiences shiver. But whispers say something about the Thriller session was different. Price reportedly paused between takes, muttering that the room felt off. Engineers later claimed strange noises bled into the tape, eerie crackles, faint growls, and sounds they couldn't trace. Even the temperature, they swore, seemed to drop whenever he recited the now famous monologue. Whether it was nerves or something unexplainable, the effect was undeniable. The man who made millions scream on screen allegedly needed a stiff drink to get through a few minutes in that booth. And what started as unease would only grow darker once the dancers slipped into their zombie makeup. Fact 18. Zombie makeup that went too far. The zombies in Thriller looked terrifying for a reason. Rick Baker's special effects team pushed boundaries with latex, paint, and prosthetics that made dancers look convincingly undead. But whispers say the transformation came at a price. Hours under the hot lights left performers sweating through heavy layers of glue and rubber. Some complained of burning skin, others of trouble breathing under the chemical fumes. Crew members even joked that the makeup was so real, it seemed to be eating them alive. Whether it was exhaustion or something more sinister, the toll was visible. Bloodshot eyes, blistered faces, and dancers who swore they felt sick long after the cameras stopped rolling, and the dangers only escalated when Michael himself stepped into his monstrous werewolf form. Fact 17. Michael's werewolf transformation nearly broke him. That iconic moment where Michael morphs into a snarling beast wasn't just movie magic, it was a grueling ordeal. The prosthetics clung tight to his skin, the glowing contacts scratched at his eyes, and the fur suit trapped heat like a furnace. Crew members later admitted the costume was so stifling that Michael struggled to breathe between takes. At one point, whispers say, he clawed at the mask in panic until assistants tore it free. For a performer who thrived on perfection, it was one of the rare times he looked genuinely shaken. The near mishap left him wary of the transformation sequence, but the production was only getting creepier, especially once filming moved into the graveyard. Fact 16. Dancing on the Dead. The graveyard scene is the beating heart of Thriller, rows of zombies clawing their way from the earth. But whispers say the unease came from more than just makeup. According to crew lore, the location wasn't a polished Hollywood backlot. It was a real cemetery, chosen for its atmosphere. Dancers described cold drafts circling their ankles, sudden nausea, and the unsettling feeling that the ground shifted beneath their steps. Whether it was exhaustion or something darker, many swore they could smell decay in the night air, and that chilling suspicion that they were performing over ground not yet at rest only added to the fear that the production had awakened more than just the living dead. Fact 15. The playback that played back wrong. Every shoot needs music playback, but on Thriller, the equipment seemed to have a mind of its own. Crew members claimed the track would suddenly warp, skipping, reversing, or distorting into noises no one had recorded. At first, it seemed like faulty wiring, but even after swapping out entire systems, the problem lingered. Whispers say speakers blasted out low growls in the middle of rehearsals, rattling the room and sending dancers off beat. Some swore they even heard their own voices echoing back at them through the static, repeating words they'd never said. It rattled the team so badly that, according to rumor, a priest was discreetly brought in to bless the set. Whether or not that solved the problem, no one ever felt comfortable around the speakers again, and the chills only deepened when Ola Ray herself went missing. Fact 14. Ola Ray's vanishing act. During one of the final night shoots, co-star Ola Ray reportedly disappeared without a trace. The crew searched frantically, only to find her hours later slumped in her dressing room, dazed and unable to explain where she'd been. What shook people most were the details. Her clothes had changed, her skin was ice cold despite the warm night, and faint hand-shaped bruises marked her arms. She never spoke publicly about that night, but on set, people whispered that something or someone had pulled her away. Fact 13. Zombies who wouldn't stop dancing. The choreography in Thriller was razor sharp, every move drilled into muscle memory, but according to crew whispers, some dancers didn't stop even after the cameras cut. Choreographer Michael Peters described moments where performers swayed and shuffled in silence, eyes glazed, as though still caught in the rhythm of a song no one else could hear. When shown the footage later, those same dancers looked genuinely disturbed. They had no memory of moving at all. The idea that the dance itself had taken control was never spoken aloud, but many left the set convinced something other than choreography was pulling the strings. Fact 12. The vanishing reflections. The makeup trailer should have been a place of transformation, where latex and paint turned ordinary dancers into the undead. But whispers say mirrors inside that room didn't always behave as they should. Artists claimed some performers cast no reflection while their zombie prosthetics were applied. At first, people laughed it off. Bad lighting, tired eyes, long hours. But then Polaroids were taken, and in the photos the chairs looked empty, even though the subjects were sitting right there. One makeup artist quit on the spot after watching her own reflection blink out while she was working. Others swore the glass would fog over at random, and when it cleared, the faces staring back weren't their own. Whether it was exhaustion or something darker, the trailer soon earned a nickname whispered across the lot: the room where the living didn't always appear alive. Fact 11. The footage no one was allowed to see. Not everything shot for Thriller made it into the final cut. More than 30 minutes of material was left locked away, and the whispers about why have never died down. Some crew members claimed the outtakes showed things that couldn't be explained. Shadows where no one stood, props shifting on their own, even figures drifting across the background who weren't part of the cast or crew. Director John Landis allegedly ordered the reels sealed and hidden, refusing to let them circulate. To this day, fans speculate about what's inside that vault. Was it simply unused footage, or evidence of something Thriller captured that was never meant to be seen? Fact 10. The editor who never finished the cut. The final cut of Thriller didn't come easy. One version of the story claims the original editor was found slumped over his workstation after a late-night session, reels scattered across the floor. There were no signs of illness or struggle, just an expression frozen in terror. The edit he'd been working on vanished with him, forcing a new team to piece the video back together from backups. Whether it was stress, exhaustion, or something far stranger, the legend of the editor who saw too much has lingered as one of the production's darkest rumors. Fact 9. The sound mix that broke the engineers. The audio for Thriller was supposed to be flawless, every growl, every beat, every bone rattle perfectly balanced. But engineers whispered about hearing things in the mix that weren't on the tapes. They described faint voices slipping between the tracks, whispers, sobs, even screams that seemed to bleed from nowhere. One engineer reportedly walked out mid-session, refusing to return after claiming the voices followed him home. Whether it was fatigue from endless hours or something unearthly woven into the soundtrack, the final mix carried a weight no one on the team ever forgot. Fact 8. The theaters that wouldn't touch Thriller. When Thriller was ready for the big screen, not every theatre welcomed it. Some projectionists swore their equipment glitched the moment the reels rolled, sound systems spitting static, images warping, projectors breaking down without cause. Managers even reported seeing figures in empty aisles during test screenings, shadows moving where no audience sat. Word spread fast, and several chains quietly declined to show the video at all. In the end, MTV became the only safe home for Thriller. But if the theatres thought they'd escaped the strange disturbances, the TV broadcast proved otherwise. Fact 7. The broadcast that haunted living rooms. When Thriller first aired on MTV, millions tuned in expecting a spectacle. What they didn't expect were the stories that followed. Viewers claimed televisions flickered with ghostly faces, mirrors showed strangers' reflections, and some sets even kept playing fragments of the video after being switched off. MTV's phone lines lit up with reports of apparitions and unexplained noises during the broadcast. Families swore their houses felt different afterward, colder, heavier, as if something had stepped through the screen and stayed behind. The network dismissed it as hysteria, but the sheer number of accounts left a question hanging in the air. Had Thriller crossed from entertainment into something much darker? Fact 6. The government file no one can read. As the stories around Thriller spread, whispers say the government took notice. The FBI allegedly opened a quiet inquiry after being flooded with reports of strange disturbances tied to the video. Agents were said to have interviewed witnesses, collected tapes, and even consulted paranormal researchers. Whatever they found has never been released. The file remains classified, sealed away in Washington. The rumor that stuck most? Scientists supposedly discovered certain frequencies in the soundtrack that triggered unsettling effects on the mind and body. If true, it would mean Thriller wasn't just a video, it was a weapon of sound. Fact 5. The bans nobody explained. Officially, some countries claimed Thriller was too violent or disturbing for public broadcast, but behind closed doors, the story was murkier. Censors in multiple nations reportedly experienced the same eerie malfunctions during test screenings, sudden power outages, projectors seizing up, even staff members collapsing mid-viewing. The incidents were never publicized, but the bans that followed spread across borders like a silent pact. On paper, it looked like simple censorship. In the shadows, it felt like governments were sharing a warning. Whatever haunted Thriller wasn't bound by language or geography. Fact 4. The dancers who disappeared. Among the dozens of performers who brought Thriller's undead army to life, 3 names stand out for the wrong reason, because after filming, they seemed to vanish. No credits, no records, no trace of them in the industry ever again. Investigators reportedly combed through casting sheets and payroll logs, only to find that the paperwork led nowhere. It was as if those dancers existed only for the shoot itself. The unsettling detail? Those same 3 gave the most disturbingly realistic performances. Their stiff movements, blank eyes, and lifeless expressions still unsettle viewers to this day. Some whispered they hadn't been acting at all. Fact 3. The double who wasn't Michael. Sharp-eyed fans have long claimed that in certain scenes of Thriller, Michael doesn't quite look like himself. His face seems different, his movements slightly off, too stiff, too alien. Crew members later whispered that a stand-in was used for moments Michael refused to repeat. But the unsettling part of the rumor is why. Some said Michael avoided those scenes not out of vanity, but because he was afraid of whatever presence had taken his place. He never addressed those claims publicly, but friends recalled how he would leave the room whenever Thriller played. For a man who thrived on his own image, being frightened of his own video remains one of the strangest mysteries of all. Fact 2. Rituals hidden in plain sight. To most viewers, Thriller was a stylish mix of horror and pop, but those who studied the video closely noticed symbols and movements that didn't come from Hollywood. They came from old ritual traditions. Scholars pointed out markings in the graveyard that mirrored resurrection rites, and even the choreography itself seemed to echo ceremonies designed to invite spirits into human bodies. These weren't random flourishes. They were patterns too precise to be accidental. Whether they were slipped in for atmosphere or with deeper intent, the effect was the same. Thriller blurred the line between performance and invocation, And that line, some say, was crossed completely in the final, most disturbing fact of all. Fact 1. The resurrection that worked too well. The most haunting rumor about Thriller is that it wasn't just inspired by horror, it was a ritual itself. Every detail, from the timing of the full moon to Vincent Price's incantation, mirrored the structure of a real necromantic rite. Whispers claim that during filming, not all of the zombies were dancers in makeup. Some bodies moved too stiffly, eyes too vacant, and in certain shots they seemed to cast no shadow at all. Crew members later joked nervously about working with the dead, but the laughter never lasted long. The legend says the spell opened a door that night, one that was never fully closed. And that's why the strange stories tied to Thriller have lingered for decades, as if the dance itself summoned something that never truly left. Bonus fact: the message meant only for the brave. For die-hard fans, there's a chilling secret buried deep in Thriller. Play the video backwards at the right speed, and some swear you'll hear Michael's voice whispering, "The dance never ends, we are still here." Those who've tried it claim the experience doesn't end with the audio. The next morning, they report strange signs, mirrors fogged from the inside, footprints across their floors, and the unsettling sense that something followed them home. It's the kind of legend you can test yourself if you're willing, but be warned, once you hear the message, there's no unhearing it. If you found this bonus fact, comment "I got the bonus" below and let me know if you're brave enough to try the backwards message yourself. This is Golden Hollywood Archives. Which part shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments, and if you think we've earned a pat on the back, please subscribe too, and do us a favor by sharing this video